This is Seahawks Stories, 50th Season Edition, presented by Emerald City Athletics.
It is the 50th season of the Seahawks we are celebrating all year long with voices from the past and a chance to break down plays and stories from inside the locker room that you might not have heard before. And I promise you that today's guest is going to give you insight that you have been craving, because I have been craving the same thing. Richard Sherman, original member of the Legion of Boom. Hi, Sherm.
Hey, not very talkative, so I'm going to keep it short.
I know. Our interviews have always been very short. They're not very interesting. And I know that it's not something that you enjoy doing. So I'm going to hope to pull the best I can out of you today.
I hope you can do it.
Well, let's start with this, because for as much as we talk about the Legion of Boom, your beginnings with the Seahawks were not as a starter. And I remember watching you in camp in 2011, converted wide receiver.
Take me back.
Did you feel like the odds were stacked against you?
Did I feel like the odds were stacked? Yeah, no question about it. The odds were. I didn't feel that way. They definitely were. If you remember, that season was no offseason, no OTAs, no rookie minicamp, and they put so much into that now. They're like, oh my God, we saw the rookies do this. We saw them do this. They got to learn this. They had to get coached. And we came in like August 1st or August 2nd as rookies, no playbook, no information, no nothing. And then we had a game on like the 11th. So it was like, yeah, they're probably pretty much setting us up to fail this time, guys. So just do your best.
But I ask that because you have always had an air of confidence about you. And so to think about you feeling like you were behind the eight ball or not prepared to go out there, that's not how I think about you at all.
No, I mean, I don't think I felt like I was not prepared to go out there. That probably gave me, because it was so back against the wall, you didn't really have any choice. Like, It was like, hey, just let it all hang out and see what happens. Like, they don't expect you to succeed anyway, so there's no pressure, no expectations at all. You just get to shine.
So would that have changed your path to getting on the field, do you think? Because it took 3 injuries for you to get on the field and be a starter.
Right.
Do you think that attitude or feeling like there was pressure would have changed where you thought you should have been and how you got on the field?
I don't know. I don't know. There's so many questions like that people ask me all the time. Like, oh, my God, if you were a first rounder, would that have changed you? I don't know. Maybe, but, we'll never know. And I don't deal in maybes. I know how it went, and I know that it gave me the frustration and ship that I needed to succeed. And unfortunately, guys got banged up. Walt was banged up coming into camp, which moved BB up. And then True got hurt against, I want to say, the Giants. He had that lower back, and then he got hurt again in Cleveland, which led to me starting the rest of the season. But yeah, things happen, I guess, the way they're supposed to.
And as a result,
it all worked out. You got 25 in your programs and 1 in your heart.
I love that. Yep, number 1 in your heart. You know what else is number 1? The rivalry with San Francisco.
Oh, right.
Did we in the media make that out to be something more than it was, or was it truly that heated and that contested among the two teams?
It was heated and contested, no question about it, because we were both great teams at the time. It's hard to have rivalries with teams that aren't good. The Rams beat us probably more than San Francisco during that time, and it wasn't a rivalry because they just weren't very good. We played San Francisco, and it's always meaningful games versus 2 playoff teams. But there wasn't a hatred for me for San Francisco. For me and Doug, it was Harbaugh, and it was Harbaugh. So I think that part of the rivalry was totally real, no question about it. There was not a day where it was not real, and it was not on site. Because of that aspect of it. And I'm sure that story has been written and beaten into the ground more than enough times.
So where did the rivalry come from the rest of your teammates? Like, where did that deep-seated – because you've got to get, you got to dig deep for some of those plays.
Because we almost had a rivalry with Carolina too. It's just the familiarity. Like you're playing them and it matters every single time. It's not like you're playing them and they are a 3-win team and you're an 11-win team and it's like, hey, it's a meaningless game. We'll beat them and move on. It's like, hey, for the number 1 seed or for the division championship, or we're in the NFC championship and we're playing to go to the Super Bowl, those kinds of games and those games where the stakes are highest. We rarely ever play at them, and it wasn't prime time because it's such a talented team. They're sitting there with likely, one Hall of Famer on the defense already, and Pat Willis, and probably multiple others. So as a defense, you want to raise your standard because you want to say, hey, we're outperforming them. We're better than you. We're a better defense, but they're also a great defense. So
well, and that's probably part of it. Right. The teams were built similarly, right? So you almost had a one-to-one comparison there, right? You're in division, same opponents, and you play each other twice a year.
No question about it. And so you build up that natural competitor within the different teams and schemes and all that, but you also personal rivalries. You got personal rivalries with guys, you got personal rivalries with the coaches. So there's so many stories kind of weaved in there.
Oh, and I'm hoping that you're going to share some.
Jim, oh my God.
I know. So did Pete allow you guys to talk about Harbaugh as part of that competitive edge? Because Pete is always like, nope, we're always competing, doesn't matter to the team. Did he feed into that at all?
I don't think he fed into it as much as he fed into the notion that he's letting his players be his players. That's celebrate your uniqueness, and we had some unique New Yorks out there, and so that was him allowing us the freedom to be ourselves within they're very loose parameters, but still within the parameters of what made sense. And in that time, it made sense. Now, if we were playing like crap and talking about that, then I don't think he would allow it as much. But it's not like in that way we're speaking about it. We go out there and we execute at a high level. There's really nothing to complain about.
We know what happened in 2013 in the NFC Championship game. Before we get to that play, though, 2012, Week 16, you block a kick for a touchdown.
Yeah, that was a good game.
Kam knocks out Vernon Davis.
Oh my God.
Do you like to talk about that game more or the play against Crabtree?
Which one do I like, or which one do I
talk about more?
Well, I talk about the Crabtree one more because it's going to the Super Bowl, the first Super Bowl win, all that against the best offense and all this other stuff. This was a regular season game, but we were in the rain that day, and I was part of the play that got Vernon open because they ran like a pick play where Crabtree ran a quick hitch stop route, which was intended to pick the linebacker that was guarding Vernon off, and then which left Vernon open, and Kam came over the top. We're running cover one. And so I have probably the closest seat in the house next to the referee, and you could see the rain coming down. But when he hit Vernon Davis, I saw him knock the sweat off his face. It's like it was a different water. The water off his helmet, then the sweat off his face. And I was like, I'm glad they didn't have a picture of my face that day because I was like. And then the ref threw the flag, and I'm like, that was legal, but I see why you threw it. I would have threw it too.
And then your return that day.
Yeah, that was it was a culmination of a lot of things because we had that whole BS. They tried to get me with the Adderall case and this, and so I didn't practice that whole week. I didn't even know if I was going to start that game because I hadn't practiced. I had to go to the appeal thing on I forget what day.
It was Thursday. I feel
it was Wednesday or Thursday.
Yeah.
No, it was Wednesday or Thursday, so I didn't really practice at all. And so I had to stay there. I got back the Christmas party was that day, so it was Saturday or something like that. And I got back, and I played. And Pete called me. He was like, "Hey, dude, how do you feel?" He's like, "I don't feel good about you playing and not practicing. You know how big I am about practice." And I said, "Pete, I'm fine. I guarantee you, I will put on a show." And I got an interception that day, and I picked Randy Moss. That was one of my cooler moments. Picked Randy.
What? How'd you do it?
Well, we're in the end zone, and Cap threw it late. I should have picked him twice that day, but I dropped the exact same interception earlier in the day against Crab, which I wish I would have had. But then I caught the one on Randy, and then I jumped over Crab, and so it made it even sweeter because it was just some fun words spoken back then. It's fun times.
Okay, so let's get to your play against Crabtree then in the NFC Championship game.
Okay. What you want to know?
What do you like to talk about on that play? Look, we've seen the highlights, we've seen the interview. What do you like to talk about regarding that play that sealed the trip to the Super Bowl?
Well, I thought the commentary was idiotic from the play-by-play guys because they were like, Sherman was out of position And I was like, I couldn't have covered him any better. I couldn't have been in better position if I knew the route and it was walkthrough. I couldn't have put myself in a better spot. And it was also a sloppy, lazy route that I understood it, because when you're covering, you're that late in the game, you're so locked in. I had no targets on the day. And he runs a hitch, and you're running a hitch in the red zone, which I don't really care about or respect, because I'm not looking. There's no win. There's no benefit. You catch that hitch, I tackle you. You guys are 4 yards further than you were. You're not doing that when you guys got the momentum. You're in a 2-minute drill. You're going for the jugular. So everything I'm playing is over the top. Like, I'm playing for the end zone. I'm playing to stop touchdown shots. And when I covered him, he did the little stutter. He pushed up the field. I was like, okay, confirmed. It's a double move. Shoulder in front of his. I look for the ball, and I see it, and I see the trajectory, and I'm like, oh, man, this is a pick. I'm about to book this for the game. This is crazy. And I go up to pick it, and Crabtree pushes me in my back. And so now I'm like, oh, my God, like, there's no way I'm not going to get a pick now, and this dude about to catch it. So thankfully, I was able to put another foot in the ground and turn in my left hand. I was able to fully grip the ball. And we always do this tip drill. We did it multiple times during the season. I think I did it in New York that season. I did it to Earl, and Earl picked it off. I tipped it up, and Earl came and got it. And we would do it in practice, and Pete would always get mad. Well, he wouldn't get mad. He'd just come caution me every time I did it. It's like, hey, be careful. They could catch that. I'm like, Pete, there's like 6 of our guys over here, and they got 1. So if I toss it in and that guy gets it, then it says all our guys aren't running to the ball and our guys are running to the ball. And so he was like, okay, I trust you. I could do it. I could tip it back in if I want to. And so when I got my hand on it, that's what I was thinking about. It's something I practiced all season long, and I practiced in practice. I was like, hey, tip it back into play, get it back in there with the guys. But I always thought Earl would catch it. And then so when I rolled over and saw Malcolm getting under it, I said, oh, okay, what are you doing here? But we'll take it.
So the comments in your post-game interview, I know you are very thoughtful. I have talked to you many, many times.
Mindful.
Had you already considered what you wanted that conversation to be like and the narrative that you wanted to set?
No, heck no. Because I didn't know what the questions would be. I didn't know what she would ask me. She could be, how are you feeling after that game? You guys are going to the Super Bowl. And I could, it could be a totally different response. But when you say, walk me through the last play, and like I told people before, it's really Earl's fault. It's Earl's fault. It's Earl's fault for pissing me off because we're in the hot tub that week, and he kept just like, he has such a high regard for Michael Crabtree. He had a high regard because of what he did at Texas Tech, more than what he's done in the league. It's just he scored him at Texas Tech. They beat Texas the year he won. Well, one of the years he won the Heisman. He caught like a game winner with like the last seconds left on the clock, spent around, like scored. It was a cool play. It's really cool. He had an illustrious college career, but he hasn't been that guy in the league. And so Earl's like, man, you got to be careful, man. He could go off at any time, man. You not understanding, Sherman. He one of those guys. And I'm like, Earl, you realize I'm one of those guys. Like, I'm a guy. Like, you're talking about this guy. Nobody's worried about him. Like, it's not a threat. And I'm a guy. And so I was like, okay, all right, we're going to stop talking about it because it's pissing me off. And so we get in the game, and we go through all that. And obviously there's more history about me and Crab that go way back. But after the game, I'm like, yeah, you know what I mean? I did what I said I was going to do. You didn't catch a ball in this game on me. And so I was going to try to show good sportsmanship and say, hey, good game, good battle, go your ass home, but good game. And he tried to push my face. And so once all that happened, it was like, hey, if that's the way y'all want to play this game and y'all are going to try me with a sorry receiver like Crabtree, that's the result. I promise you, if you told that to all my teammates and this was a Madden simulation, and they said, hey, they're going to try Sherm for the game, we would have had NFC champion hats on. They would have been sitting there sipping champagne like, man, this was a hell of a good job, guys. Great season. That's what would happen.
I want to sidetrack or just kind of take a break from the conversation about your play.
Okay.
And the confidence that you always show in interviews. So here's my personal story, and I've shared this with folks. It was before you were even a starter. I always appreciated you in the locker room because you would come and find me and say, hey, do you need anything? I got something for you today. Like when you were special teams, before you were a starter. Mm-hmm. And I really, really treasured and appreciated that. And then you get to be so big that I can't even be part of those scrums because you've got 25 people around you, right? And now I can't even talk to you.
I did press conferences.
You did. Here's what I always wondered. Would any of that conversation change as your career went on or as you exited your career? As in, would you still be the person who was front and center saying, I've got something to say? Would, when Father Time starts catching up with you, and it does for all of us, right? Would you still have that same kind of feel in interviews? Do you think you did? And was that ever a concern?
I never thought about it, if that's what you're asking. I never thought about anything like that. I mean, by that point, I had press conferences every week, so I wasn't necessarily going up to anybody like, hey, I got a story. I was like, hey, see you in the press conference, and if you got something, I'll give it to you. But I also never shied away from anything, so I didn't feel like, hey, I had a bad game or we lost or, I'm not going to go talk to the media because things aren't going well. It's like, hey, things aren't going well. All right, what you guys need? Things are going great. All right, what you guys need? And so I felt like one of the biggest challenges as I got later in my career, I think the biggest motivator for me was when we lost that Super Bowl in 2014. That was my son was born a couple days later. And I was like, hey, he didn't even get to, even if we'd have won, I would have felt this way. I was like, he didn't even get to see me play in it. You know what I mean? I don't want to be one of those guys where you're telling your kids, like, man, your dad played in the Super Bowl. Like, you should have been there. But by the time you were born, things started going downhill. And I didn't. And so when they cut me here and I got to San Francisco, I was like, hey, my biggest goal is to go to a Super Bowl here because I want my son to see me playing one. Like, that's my biggest goal. So I don't give a damn what it takes to help build this team, who I have to be, what role I have to play. But we're going to get to a Super Bowl, and my son's going to see me playing one. And so that was the cooler part about the transition in the later part of my career is that, got to year 9 off the Achilles, off all that, and hold my son after the NFC Championship game, and we beat Green Bay. And he's like, yeah, we're going to the Super Bowl. And I said, yeah, check that.
And that sounds like the perfect note to end the conversation. Sherm, it is always a pleasure.
Pleasure's all mine. Thank you, Jen.
Thank you. And thank you for watching this episode of Stories from the Seahawks 50th season.